After the Battle of Pharsalus and Pompey's flight, Julius Caesar sailed to Egypt, not as a conqueror, but as a man seeking clarity and closure. His greatest rival had escaped across the sea, and Caesar intended to secure his surrender, or at least dictate the terms of his future. Instead, he arrived to find that the decision had been taken out of his hands. When Caesar stepped ashore near Alexandria in 48 BCE, envoys from the young king Ptolemy XIII presented him with a horrifying and unexpected gift: the severed head of Pompey the Great. The Egyptians believed they were pleasing Caesar, eliminating his enemy and demonstrating their loyalty. They could not have misread him more completely. Caesar was revolted. Pompey had been his enemy on the battlefield, but he had also been his ally, his daughter's husband, and one of the leading men of Rome. To see him murdered as a political convenience by a foreign court violated every instinct of Roman honor and dignity. He turned away in disgust and ordered that Pompey's remains receive a proper funeral. At the same time, he realized something else. Egypt was not just another exotic kingdom. It was a crucial power in the Eastern Mediterranean, rich in grain and gold, and currently ruled by a divided and unstable dynasty. Caesar decided to stay. Egypt at that time was ruled nominally by two siblings, Ptolemy XIII and his elder sister Cleopatra VII. According to their father's will and Ptolemaic tradition, they were meant to be co-rulers. In reality, they were locked in a bitter struggle for control. Cleopatra had been driven into exile by Ptolemy's advisors, who feared her intelligence and independence. Caesar, as the most powerful Roman in the region, was now in a position to arbitrate their conflict. One of the most famous episodes in Cleopatra's life, and in Caesar's, occurred shortly after his arrival in Alexandria. Determined to meet Caesar face to face, but unable to enter the palace openly, Cleopatra had herself smuggled inside, wrapped in a carpet or a linen sack, and carried by a servant. When she emerged before Caesar, she presented herself not as a desperate exile, but as a confident and persuasive queen. Cleopatra was highly educated, fluent in multiple languages, and skilled in rhetoric. She spoke to Caesar as an equal, outlining her claim to the throne and her vision for Egypt. Caesar was impressed. Their relationship, which would become legendary, was shaped by mutual benefit as much as attraction. Cleopatra needed a powerful ally to regain her throne. Caesar needed a stable, friendly Egypt in Rome's orbit, and he saw in Cleopatra a ruler who would be loyal to him personally. However, Ptolemy's advisors were outraged by Caesar's support for Cleopatra. Tension escalated into open conflict, and the situation deteriorated into what became known as the Alexandrian War. Caesar suddenly found himself besieged in Alexandria with only a limited force. Ptolemy's troops controlled much of the city, and the royal palace district became a battlefield. Fighting spread into the streets, the harbor, and even the great buildings of the city. During the chaos, parts of the harbor and nearby warehouses were set on fire. According to some accounts, these fires damaged sections of the famed Library of Alexandria, though the extent of the destruction remains debated. Whether or not the library was significantly harmed at this time, the symbolism of flames consuming knowledge has haunted the story of Caesar in Egypt ever since. Despite being outnumbered and cut off, Caesar used his usual blend of engineering, rapid decision-making, and psychological warfare to hold out. He fortified positions, negotiated when it suited him, and struck quickly where the enemy was weak. Meanwhile, Cleopatra remained within the palace, maintaining her claim as co-ruler and symbolizing the alliance that tied Egypt's fate to Caesar's success. At one point, Caesar's situation was so precarious that he had to leap from a ship into the harbor to escape enemy forces, swimming to safety with his cloak in one hand and important documents held above water in the other, according to later stories. Relief eventually came in the form of allied forces from the eastern Mediterranean, rallying to Caesar's side. With these reinforcements, he marched out to confront Ptolemy's army near the Nile. The battle that followed was decisive. Caesar's legions, experienced and disciplined, broke the Egyptian lines. Ptolemy XIII attempted to escape by boat, but his ship capsized and he drowned in the river that had once symbolized his kingdom's power. With Ptolemy dead and the opposition crushed, Cleopatra's position was secure. Caesar restored her to the throne, this time alongside a younger brother, Ptolemy XIV, in accordance with Egyptian custom. In reality, Cleopatra held the true power. Caesar remained in Egypt for several months. He and Cleopatra deepened their relationship, both personally and politically. During this time, Cleopatra bore a son, Ptolemy XV, who would be known as Caesarion, Little Caesar. Cleopatra publicly claimed that Caesar was the boy's father. Whether Caesar privately acknowledged the child or not, the existence of Caesarion would later cast a long shadow over Roman politics. Caesar and Cleopatra undertook a grand journey along the Nile, sailing in royal splendor past temples, fields, and cities that had stood for millennia. For Caesar, it was a moment of relative peace after years of war, a chance to witness the deep antiquity of Egyptian civilization. For Cleopatra, it was a public display of her renewed authority, strengthened by alliance with Rome. But Caesar could not remain in Alexandria forever. The Roman world was still unsettled. Pompey was dead, but his sons and other opponents were still alive in Africa and Spain. The Republic needed order, and Caesar was determined to provide it. In 47 BCE, Caesar left Egypt, leaving Cleopatra on her throne and Egypt firmly within Rome's sphere of influence. As he sailed away, he carried with him not only stories of one of the ancient world's most remarkable queens, but also the experience of having played kingmaker in a land as old as history itself. He would soon face fresh battles in Asia Minor, Africa, and Spain. Each victory would draw him closer to absolute power in Rome, and each step would bring him nearer to the moment when the Senate would decide that one man had become too powerful to live.